get to both fighters.
Well, like, what do you mean by that?
Well, because even when we were coming up in the UFC deal, I don't think it had as much media as they're doing right now. But man, they're doing so much media. They to where you're doing interviews, you have constant cameras. You're obligated to this, obligated to that. Then on top of that, you have to train. What I saw with Woodley, Anthony, I saw fatigue, man.
Oh my God! Yeah, let's talk about. Really blew me up.
But he kept single time he kept backing into that fence. He backed into that fence. He did. I never saw him advance foul. You know, it was weird. It was weird. It was weird to see. But I also I know what I saw. I saw media fatigue, and that's crazy to see. I saw it happen right in front of me right there, and it's not just the media fatigue. It's just all the and see, now you got the UFC media that he has to deal with. You have both fighters have to deal with the outside media, and plus their own media that they have to do on their own with their Twitter accounts, their Instagram. So man, I saw a lot of fatigue in those guys' face, man.
Well, like I talked to a lot of fighters.
I saw Woodley give up.
I talked to a lot of fighters about this, especially guys who are making their debut, coming from, even Bellator. They kind of give you a taste, but when you get to the UFC, there's obligations when you get there, where they're like, we're gonna have a open workout. Then you got to do this interview, that interview. It could be a lot for a lot of these guys, but for T. Wood, man.
Yeah, especially for people who aren't used to that.
Yeah.
Like I said, being in radio and doing all the things that I was doing already. It was pretty easy to me, because I was already kind of intertwined with that, in between that world anyway. Because I was doing media already, so I see it. But man, just to witness it, on television, and I just couldn't believe that I saw Woodley, after just praising him 24 hours ago, how I saw no effort. There was no effort.
You think he was like loaded? He was like waiting for that one shot. Like, what do you think his mistake was?
No, because he kept backing up. He kept backing up. I've never seen that. You've watched the fight again. Just kept backing up into the fence, like he was looking for an out. Like he was looking. I was around coaches. I was around coaches at the same time. It was like he was looking for an out.
It was
and with Anthony.
That's what I was going to say. It seemed like the same thing with Anthony.
I watched Jones just do what he wanted to do. And I saw Anthony not move out the way.
And which is not like Anthony.
Not move out the way. I saw him just take shots that I know that he should have been the one bursting forward.
And he's not like that. He's not a guy that just waits. He's a guy that pushes forward, like you said.
Yeah, so I didn't see the pushing of forward of the fighter at that point. I'm like, push. And again, I go back to the situation with the Kimbo thing, and I mentioned it yesterday. I was moving, so how are you going to hit a moving target? And I think that's the concept. If someone's hitting you, and you just need to move either to the left or to the right, or move out the way.
When it came down to Anthony Smith and his performance, he didn't look bad in the first round, but, it's not like John Jones was doing anything special. It's not like, it was
just... the
just...
exact same things he would do. Kick to the body, forward kicking, teeting, to keep people away from him. And, he did the spinning elbow, and then he did the jumping knee. And it's just a lot of things that he was already doing that it shouldn't have been a surprise to see.
What did you think about that illegal kick from John?
Oh man, that just happens during battle, man. I don't think he did it on purpose. He was already in control of the fight. So for people who are taking that serious, it's not a big deal. It's just during the heat I just think that it just happens.
What do you think was going on with Anthony though there? Because he even said it in the post-fight speech.
Hey, I'm proud and disappointed at the same time because I know what the guy can do, and what I saw was a submissive performance. I saw someone taking shots but not giving them. Anytime some guy punches at you, you're supposed to punch back.
So if you were there, if you were there in his corner, what kind of advice do you think you would be giving him through that fight?
Move and punch, move and kick. Now he was effective. He started kicking. He started kicking John immediately, and that's what I would have did. I would have started kicking. John he doesn't have the biggest legs. His legs are skinny. So you go after this man's legs. You Muay Thai, you kick. And one kick, if he kicks you, you kick him twice. He kicks you 3 times, you kick him 6 times. That's the return fire. And I didn't think my man returned fire like he was supposed to.
And like I said, it's not like John was doing anything too crazy or like overwhelming him. It just felt like Anthony was kind of stuck in his head.
And he already had it stuck in his head, like okay, this is what it is, or you just let this is the same aura you talked about what the other fighters do. Just kind of look and they just kind of watch it and watch this guy work. That's what he did. He watched this guy work.
And that's the thing, man. Like, after the fight, I was listening to what Anthony was saying about it, and it just felt like he was out of his body. He was just like, it's not like John is, all these other fighters are like, they put him on this pedestal, and he was like, this is a guy I could beat. And I could see that. I could see Anthony beating him, but it just felt like, and he said himself.
Yeah, he just got caught. He just got caught in that situation, and he got caught in that aura. Or, like I said earlier, the mental exhaustion of it, you traveling, doing all these obligations, doing your workouts, et cetera. Then you're on top of that, you have your family. So some people can handle that situation, and some people can't. And what I saw with both fighters, I saw media exhaustion. I saw lackluster effort. And it was just disappointing to watch.
Man, it's got to be hard for somebody like Anthony as well to like go home and know that he could have done better. But like,
yeah.
I mean,
when he watches film, he's going to be really disappointed in himself. And it's like you can't dwell on your losses. Just learn from them. But it's hard to not dwell on it when you just look and you can see that you let this guy hit you. You let this guy stay in front of you. You didn't move to the left. You didn't move to the right. And I don't know what he was doing when he sat on his ass.
Well, that's the thing. It wasn't like he ate any like serious, significant shots.
He was blocking really good. And so if I'm blocking, I'm going in after the block. So, and it was just crazy to watch, man. It was surreal. And it was almost like, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, what about the Ben Askren fight?
That situation up. I'm just happy to be here.
Well, what did you think about that Ben Askren fight with Robbie Lawler? That was pretty.
He got caught. He got caught, and I trained with a wrestling coach for 40 years. This guy got caught with a regular choke. Lawler got caught with a regular choke. It wasn't nothing fancy. It wasn't nothing out of the ordinary. This guy got caught with a regular choke.
So when people out there are saying, his arm was going limp, can you kind of like explain that, like why?
His arm did go limp.
But could that be because he's trying to relax himself to kind of, not?
No, there wasn't a relax. He just sometimes, 2 or 3 seconds in, he could have been out. He could have been out. I must remind everybody. You're getting pressed on that neck, so you're losing pressure. He could have passed out for a brief 2 seconds because his arm did go limp. It wasn't, based on the ground. His arm did go limp, brother.
So for all these people that are kind of yelling at Herb Dean, do you think it could have went on for another couple of seconds, or do you agree with Herb Dean's call there?
Herb Dean is a good referee, man. He's been in fights where I questioned him as well. But in this instant, man, he could have cranked on that guy's neck if he wanted to, and he could have broke his neck. If looking at the position he was in, man, it was a good call. It was a good call. His arm went limp, and it was a wrap.
This is what me and you were talking about yesterday. We were like, this is what life's all about, is those kind of fights. I mean, the way that fight started with Robbie coming out, and he welcomed Ben Askren into the UFC with, it was quite a welcoming. Ben Askren was bloodied from, his entire face was bloody, and then Robbie picked him up and slammed him on his head.
I told you this is a different set of circumstances for this young man. And he's coming over here, and the level of competition is different. So, he just got he personally to me got lucky. He just got lucky. Now, is he going to get lucky with the next guy? Who knows? But this fight, you obviously see who was in control of the fight, and again, this guy is a phenomenal wrestler, but apparently his hands aren't that good, because he was bloody a few seconds into that fight.
I mean, it was a tough fight for, him to come into the UFC taking on somebody like Robbie Lawler. And did you see Robbie's walkout? He looked like a killer. He didn't even blink. That's some scary shit.
He looked good, man. But again, it just happened. To me, like we spoke about yesterday, it's just one of those things where it happened, during the heat of battle, and where it shouldn't. So don't blink. This is what happens when it comes to MMA, and this is why people love it.
I got to ask you this, because you were talking about it yesterday. Ben Askren coming to the UFC, obviously, he's had a name for himself. He's fought over at 1. But, Kamaru Usman, just because it's his debut, do you think they could give him maybe a title shot next after this, or is it too soon?
No title shot for this guy coming straight over. I'm a real big believer of that. No, you have to earn your stripes, man. And Usman, he's fought in Omaha, Nebraska before. And from what I understand, he wrestled at Kearney, Nebraska. So, watching him go to work, man, that was, he had a good game plan. He kept busy. He kept, those are the kind of things that frustrate a lot of people, because there was constant pressure. Just like Jones, there were constant pressure, man. And I watched the Usman guy, kind of dance his way in, because fighting is almost like dancing, and he got into his rhythm, and he was phenomenal. He deserved that title.
The most impressive part of that fight was how he was able to recover after that big takedown where he was literally slammed on his head, and there was a second where he was eating a couple of shots, but he was still able to protect himself. That was super impressive.
It was to me, it was a great fight for him.
Now, I got to ask you this. Did you see the Cody Nola fight versus Pedro Munoz?
Is that the one where they were both swinging wild?
The bantamweights, they were swinging at the very first round inside the center of the octagon. And
I watched both guys swing wild, and as a coach of mine who was sitting right there said, the first person to hit straight is going to knock the other guy out. And guess what happened? First person, because they both were swinging kind of wild for fences, and the first guy that hit straight knocked the other guy out. That's what you got.
Here's the thing that people don't understand. This goes either way with the mentality, and maybe you can make it a little bit more clear for me. But when you're in that situation, Cody Nola, he's coming off 2 losses where he's been in there when he's trying to swing and knock his opponent out, which was TJ Dillashaw. And unfortunately, he was on the receiving end where, it didn't work out well for him. In this case, do you think, maybe he should have been a little bit smarter and backed off instead of, biting down on the mouth guard? Or is it more like it's a fight for ego in those moments? I
think both fighters were trying to finish the fight. And again, this is the pressure of the audience. This is the pressure of the organization, all wanting to see good fights. So sometimes in your mind, these guys are not thinking in that moment. They're just just they're just trying to do what they think that everyone else wants, and that's the swinging for the fences and the fights. But personally, if you see that you're not knocking the guy out, and you see that he's gathered himself, I would have backed off a little bit. It would just been me personally until you got back into a better position. But what happens? You have to block too, and that's part of the game, right?
Yeah, 100%.
You have to block. So you have to be in there with the knowledge that, hey, okay, we were swinging for the fences, but you have to block too.
Here's what pisses me off. Like, a lot of the fans out there, like, I stay up on my Twitter, I stay up on my social media to see what people are saying about it, see what the professionals are saying about it, see what the fighters are saying about it. And a lot of the fans, they'll throw the gym under the bus. They'll be like, oh, he needs to leave that gym, which I think is absolute bullshit. Like, when you're inside the octagon.
You don't leave a gym because of what happens in the octagon or what happens in a moment. It was just a moment. It was just a moment. Just like with Lawler last night. Does he need to leave his gym because he got caught in a moment? No, he doesn't. It just happens. So for all the fans out there, just calm down. No. It's at the end of the day, it's the individual getting in the ring. And that's what counts. You're the one in the octagon. Your gym is not in the octagon.
Let me ask you this, though. Like, if you're Cody Nolov or you're Robbie Lawler, you're coming off a loss like that. Because, me and you were talking about it. This was a huge pay-per-view. There was a lot of eyes on this card. Do you feel that pressure of that last fight going into your next fight?
I don't think so. I think because Lawler, he knew he was winning. See, so that's a different mind state. He knew he was winning up until that point. So, you know what? You chalk it up to as a loss. And guess what? You know what you do next time. Because I think Lawler might have thought that he was going to finish the other guy, but so he should have just backed off a little bit to make sure that he had him cornered. So I think those guys will be fine. They just regroup and keep it moving. That's the only thing we got. That's the only thing they have to do is just take the loss and keep it moving.
So, like, in moments like Cody Nolov, can you really hear your corner when you're in a situation like that where, you kind of got tunnel vision, you're just throwing bows, you're throwing haymakers? Can you hear your corner, or is it just kind of like you're...
I think, I don't know if you necessarily hearing your corner, but if some guy is swinging at you crazy, either you're going to run, like you've seen a lot of these fighters do, and center yourself back in the ring, or you're going to throw it. And at that moment, he decided he wanted to throw. So, hey, man, there's something you can't do anything about. If a guy's throwing at you, I don't think there's nothing a corner can do when you got doing that to you.
Now, what do you think about John Jones, man? Like, what does he do next? The UFC really needed a superstar to come in for this ESPN era. Like, we lost Ronda. Connor's kind of on the fence right now. John, shout out to Anthony Smith, man. Going to the distance with John Jones is, a pat on the back.
Happy to be here attitude, I don't like that one.
So what do you think about John? Like, moving forward, how do you think he would do it as a heavyweight? Or do you think he should stay?
I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't know. The heavyweight division, man, it's a different monster. Because if you get hit in the heavyweight division, you're done. So no, I don't think no one's tested John's chin. No one's got close enough to test his chin. Because again, no one's put that pressure. That's the only way you're going to beat John, is to put pressure on that man. And I think as a heavyweights will put pressure on you.
Can I ask you something really serious? This whole picogram thing. Can you give us like your say on that whole situation?
There's nothing to say. I'm not a big fan of no drugs in your body to help you out. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're not taking it now, but you've taken it back then. And you took it for a reason, to give you an advantage. You got a lot of athletes right now who work their asses off and don't have a peak of shit in their system. So I'm tested. They said he's going to have it in his system. But guess what? Common sense, you should have never took it in the first place.
And you know what? There's a lot of fighters out there like.
We wouldn't have this conversation if you wouldn't have took it in the first place. No matter who it is. I don't care if it's Jones. I don't care whoever it is. Don't put something in your body.
Well, because they've punished, hundreds of people. Frank Mir, they've punished, a lot of people for the same exact thing. So
yeah, but they're not considered the best athlete like John. Everybody, it's not fair. I was always told through coaches, it's not fair if you special treatment, and it's not fair. So the world is not fair. All you can control is who you are as a person and as a fighter.
So you honestly think that they shouldn't allow him, even with the picogram in the system, because a lot of people are saying that, and the UFC hasn't allowed it for any other fighter. So it's not fair.
What does that tell you? I'll leave it at that. What does that tell you?
It says a lot. It says a real lot.
There's a lot. So that now let somebody else come up with a positive test and see how they get treated.
It's an absolute shame. Did you catch some of the other fights, like some of these up and comers, like Zabit, Johnny Walker? Holy shit!
Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance because I was already. You saw yesterday. I was already had prior obligations with some Boy Scouts, but I always like watching the newcomers to see who's going to get on that next level. But I didn't get a chance to, man, this time. So I'm gonna try hard to do so. I've been watching a lot more MMA lately because back then I really wasn't watching a lot of UFC fights. But in these latter ages, I've been watching more too for myself.
I really want to talk about Woodley really quick here. I know that you were talking about him at the beginning, but Usman with a dominating performance, dominated every second of that fight. How long do you see him holding that title for?
I don't know. We don't know how can he maintain that type of intensity every fight. And now and I was told again we were going to go through the coach scenario again. It's hard to get there, but it's harder to keep it.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of people will say that. Even getting the UFC.
But it's harder to keep it. So, Woodley's, how many shots did he defend? What, 7?
Quite a few times since the Robbie Lawler fight.
Man, it's hard to keep that belt, man. It's hard to keep that belt. So I think that's why John get praised a lot because he's had a lot of fights to where he's kept his belt.
So what do you think about Usman when he was walking out of the cage? You had Colby Covington, who's really been kind of a character, right? Like the UFC, MMA fans, they root for it. They don't like it, but they want it. What do you think about Colby Covington, Usman? Because that's now going to be the next fight. What do you think about Colby Covington's character? Is he doing the right thing? Is he taking it too far?
Hey, man, you know what? Again, people are their own individual, brother.
Yeah,
I can't comment on the way another person acts. Whatever works for you. I'll just leave it at that. Whatever works for you.
It sells, man. It sells. I interviewed Colby about 4 years ago, and he's like that. Like talking to him on the phone even before an interview, he talks just like that. Like he's in that character, and it's got him far.
Whatever works for you. You know what I'm saying? Whatever works for you. That's why we're all individuals.
Are you kind of surprised that Woodley had an issue with Usman? Because we've seen.
Because man, he I don't know. Usman was a couple inches taller, but again, you're the champ. So that means if you're gonna go out, you got to go out like the champ. And that's what I have to say about that. If you're the champ, go out like the champ. Okay? Go out with your nose bloody, your scars, scrapes, scratches. People can at least say, "Hey, man, he lost the title, but he lost the title this way."
Yeah.
That's it.
What do you think about like a lot of these guys that come in as wrestlers? They find their they start to fall in love with their striking. We've seen it with Johnny Hendricks is a really good example where he came in as a wrestler, he started getting a couple knockouts and started falling in love with that, and it ended up being, I don't want to say his downfall, but he kind of let go of the wrestling. Do you kind of feel like that's what's going on with Woodley here? Like maybe he shouldn't rely too much on...
I don't think so, man. I think again, I think we talked about this in the earlier conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's the exhaustion. I think it's the obligations. And I think sometimes it just takes away from your MMA. And I saw exhaustion on this man's face. That's what I saw.
Before we hang up, I really want to ask you, like, what does this mean to like be able to sit here, all these years later? I mean, you made your debut at UFC 71. All these years later, and people are going crazy now for UFC. It's on ESPN, and you see a card like this.
Well, it's not necessarily them going crazy over UFC. They're going crazy over MMA.
Yeah, that's right.
So we have to that's correct that. They're going crazy over MMA. So because if there was a super fight somewhere else and they were promoting it, people would watch it. So, but the organization, the UFC organization, is doing a good job of promoting itself. Not necessarily the fighters all the time. It's doing a good job of promoting itself. ESPN, the internet, they're doing a good job of doing promoting themselves. So that's what you have today. You have one organization who bought out all these other organizations and they've made themselves look like the place to be.
Another big thing, obviously, PFL was just announced this week to be on ESPN, and they're really opening up doors for these guys like Lance Palmer. I went to Madison Square Garden on New Year's Eve, and, we've been watching Lance Palmer for years go in there and really not get his shot at, a decent paycheck. It was nice to see him get $1 million shot. What do you think about PFL and what they're doing over there, kind of switching things up?
Well, I can't comment on that because I don't know. I don't know exactly the PFL deal.
Yeah.
So I can't comment on that, man. I can't touch that, especially if I don't know. I don't ever comment on things I don't know about.
Well, basically they're doing like a tournament style thing, like we're seeing with Bellator doing the heavyweight. And if you make it to the heavyweight or you make it to the finale, you win $1 million at the end. I mean, at the end of the day, Bellator, PFL, all these other organizations are finally, making steps forward. For a long time, it was the UFC that was number one. Now we're seeing other organizations finally get more attention, and that's an amazing thing to see.
Have to be, other organizations have to be creative because you know why? All the attention is on one big dog. So they have to get creative in their presentation. And if that's exactly what's going on with the other organizations, hey, they're trying to change it up to get some of that attention.
Did you pay attention to Bellator? Like, obviously you watch a lot of fights. Did you watch the Bellator heavyweight tournament?
I thought a lot of again, fights are fights. MMA fights are MMA fights. No matter what organization it is, and watching guys get in that octagon ring or whatever it is, it's cool. And I did watch, and like I said, no matter what, MMA is MMA.
You ever think you're gonna do like commentary? I would love to see you commentate for PFL, Bellator, one of these organizations, because you're good at it, man. You're amazing at it.
One of these days, if I'm called and asked, but right now, man, I'm cool with commentating on your show.
I love it, man. So, are you officially retired? Are you kind of like on the outskirts?
That's a secret. I'll send you a text. I'll send you a text when we're not officially on recording.
Okay.
That's a secret, brother. I'm gonna send you a text after this.
So I got to ask you one last thing, man. Obviously, like, you were sitting there last night. You watched these fights. Did you at least smile during the fights? Did you at least feel alive during it, like we were talking about last night? Like, that's what life's all about. And did you get that fulfillment?
Again, I did smile. But my smile turned to frown when I see a guy that I know that could have did better. He could have did better. It ended up being a mediocre fight.
Is it weird for you?
And then one of my favorite fighters that I do like end up giving us a lackluster effort because he was too tired.
Is it kind of weird for you watching fights now, like even going to a live event? Because like, do you kind of feel that anxiety that the fighters are feeling going into a fight? Is it kind of different now for you?
I feel anxious, like I want to get in there.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, I feel that. Houston, I want to thank you so much, man. I want to do more of these. I want to talk to you more. I really, this was out of the blue. You just kind of called, and I just pressed record to talk about this. So I really appreciate it, man. It's something else.
Getting that information out there, man, and talking about the aftermath is always a good thing. I think that's what you get from the internet. People want to see the aftermath. People want to hear they want to hear what other people are thinking. You know, especially when someone's been there. So people want to hear that.
Well, you know.
So, thank you for the opportunity.
Really quick, you know what's special about mixed martial arts is, you know, we really started on the internet. We weren't on ESPN. We weren't, you know, even before Spike TV. I mean, this was really underground. I remember having to go to Tommy K's to watch, you know, UFC, you know, on VCR.
One of my first interviews was MMA Junkie. So that was one of my first interviews.
Jesus, I remember, you know, obviously the MMA Underground, to see how far they've come and for them to still be active. The community has really been based on the internet with mixed martial arts. So, you know, it's really nice to catch up with you. It's nice to see what other people's reactions were. Right after we got done with our interview yesterday, we had 400 people that watched the interview live, which is, you know, it blew me away, and I uploaded it to iTunes if you guys want to check it out. This is going to be on iTunes as well. And Houston, really quick before we let you go, man, where can people find you on social media?
Man, you can find me at Houston Assassin on both Instagram, Twitter, and Houston Alexander on Facebook. Again, you know, all these different social media sites, just look me up, man. But most likely at the HoustonAlexander.org, where my foundation is where you can really hit me up at.
Oh, I wanted to ask you this as well. You do a radio show, obviously. Can people listen to that radio show on the internet, or is it just locally?
Well, you'll be able to get it on the internet, because we're working on that. And but you know, our show is here local in Omaha. But soon all the information I'll put out all that information out pretty soon.
Keep us posted on that, because a lot of people clearly are interested, and a lot of people clearly look up to you, still have your poster on their wall. Man, it means so much to get this phone call from you just randomly and to hear what you had to say, because it makes a big difference between, you know, what fans are saying, what the media members are saying.
Yesterday, I told you we were going to talk after the fights. I told you that. I'm a man of my word, brother.
And I appreciate that. Houston, thank you so much, man. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I really hope to talk to you sooner than later.
No problem, man. Hey, take it easy. And everybody out there, take it easy.
God bless.
All right, bye.
How about that, guys? Oh, my God. Guys, I was just sitting on my couch. Just relaxing on my couch. I went to the liquor store. I got what do you call these? You get a 10-pack. I don't really drink that much, but, you know, it's a Sunday. We had a busy day yesterday. I was up till 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. And shout out to my staff that stayed up over in the UK till, you know, almost 7 in the morning. Went to the liquor store. I drank about half of this. And Houston Alexander is calling me. It wasn't my friends from high school. It wasn't, you know, my little sister asking to borrow $20. Houston Alexander calls. You better pick up the phone. I was sitting there, you know, sitting there eating my Chinese food. I went out for Chinese. I gotta admit it, I'm breaking the diet. You know, the wonton soup, the chicken lo mein, long day at work, sitting in front of the computer. I'm turning into the classic MMA media guy where I'm sitting in front of my computer eating Chinese food, eating cheat. Like, it's bad, guys. It's bad. So before I end this stream, Houston Alexander, when Houston Alexander calls you a legend like that, you pick up the phone. Let me crack open my fortune cookie, and let's see what the fortune is here. How about this? Ready? Let's crack it together. SMS? What is that called? SMH? Something like that. There's a lot of people on YouTube that love listening. There's these girls. It's an entire category. It's an entire genre, an entire fad going on right now of these girls that just like whisper and make these weird noises into their microphone. Here is our fortune. If you are afraid to shake the dice, you will never throw a 6. How about that? How about that? Read that yourself. One more time. If you are afraid to shake the dice, you will never throw a 6. That goes perfectly with the sport that we're covering, the show that we're doing, me just simply answering the phone. How about that interview? I could have been upstairs, missed Houston Alexander's phone call, we would have never got this podcast down. 35-minute talk with the legendary Houston Alexander. And catch out our interview from yesterday if you want to hear what he's been up to. He even shares some untold stories. And I won't spoil it. Go check it out, pureevilmma.com. Guys, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, pureevilmma.com. Subscribe down below. You can find the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Player FN, Podomatic, and also on YouTube and Classic here on Periscope, now that I have a 90-day ban. 90-day ban from YouTube. Absolutely ridiculous. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I literally, when he called, I ran to the computer, clicked record. I was like, Houston, hold on 1 second. He called me. I was like, what's up, champ? I said, hold on 1 second. I ran to the computer. I didn't even tell him that I was going to record it. I figured that he would kind of know that, you know, you're calling a media member. You're calling here on Pure Evil MMA. You're calling the studio phone. You know damn well I'm not going to let your words just kind of float out into the universe without capturing it in this little ball and sharing it with all the MMA fans out there, because they want to hear, I want to hear, and share with you guys what I'm hearing from Houston. Houston, you got rid of the problem. How about that? Oh my God, classic. Absolutely classic. Guys, subscribe down below. That was a blast. What a surprise. What a surprise. 400 people yesterday tuned in to our interview. And that was the first time me and Houston actually connected. And man, I feel so blessed. 2019, man, I posted this on my YouTube, on my Facebook page. And I very rarely go on Facebook. I feel like Facebook is more for family, your friends from high school, stuff like that. But this day and age, you need to be on every social media account. You need to be on every platform between, you know, Snapchat, Instagram. Twitter's the biggest one. If you're just on Facebook and you don't have a Twitter, you're living up to a quarter of your potential. And it's a lot of work as a media member. But if you are serious about this and you want to become something, you need to do everything you can to grow yourself and literally grind every day. I grind from morning to night every day. When I wake up, I'm thinking, what am I doing today? Who's coming on the show? What can I do to bring content for people? 2019 has been my year, and I want to thank everybody. I mean, I've spent the last 5 years grinding, and I've been blessed with a lot of the fighters that I talk to, even outside the show, that just text me just to talk, and when I'm watching these fights, and it means the world. If you told me when I was 6, 7 years old, and I did my first interview live on a radio station at 7 years old with Stone Cold Steve Austin, a lot of my longtime listeners are probably tired of me saying that, but it's the truth, man. Like, that opened my eyes up to a new interest, a newfound love, a newfound glory, I guess I should say. And if you told me then, after that interview with Stone Cold, and mind you guys, for those of you guys that haven't heard this story, when Stone Cold was blowing up, right? When Stone Cold was blowing up, what's the one thing that casuals remember from Stone Cold's career? It's his beef with Vince McMahon. I did the interview the day after it just started. I forgot exactly what happened. I really wish I can get the interview back to play it for you guys and put it here in the library. But when they first started that beef, I have family in radio, and it was actually Glenn Beck at the time. Glenn Beck, who, you know, went on to Fox, and you guys can say whatever. He's kind of like the Adam Jones of Fox, I guess you can say. But my uncle, my godfather, who was supposed to be my godfather, Vinny Penn, would always get me on the radio. And I would talk to, you know, celebrities or sing songs, and I would do all this stuff on the local radio, KC 101. And it changed my life, man. I ended up going to broadcasting school. I went to college for sociology and psychology. And if you told me when I was 6, 7 years old, because I'll never forget, when I found out I was going to interview Stone Cold, he was my favorite fighter at the time. In my mind, he was a fighter, wrestler, actor, athlete. I stayed home from school, and I remember being up all night, writing in my notebook. I'm 29 years old now, still writing in my notebook for these fighters, and everything's really come full circle. And I'm really excited to see what my future has in store. And I really want to thank all of you guys. I want to thank all the fighters who are supporting Pure Evil MMA and getting behind me and realizing that I don't want to be a cookie cutter. I do not want to be a cookie cutter inside the scene. There are so many media members that do exactly what we've been seeing for the past 60, 70 years inside journalism for sports. Might as well put that top hat on, you know, like, I want to be different. I want to be myself. I don't want to feel like I have walls around me. And I feel so, I can't even explain how it feels when I'm getting emotional. I don't want to explain, I can't explain how it feels when I see supporters, listeners reach out to me in DMs, fighters reach out to me in DMs, and just tell me, it's such a reassurance when I hear from people that they're enjoying my content. And I want to thank you guys so much for that. It saved my life. And before I end this podcast, I know there's a lot of people out there that want to hear my story of my past, between losing my girlfriend, overcoming opiate addiction, overcoming family. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus because they're great people now today. But overcoming a lot of loved ones with a lot of issues, and very inspiring story. And I still battle day by day, but what keeps me going and what keeps me inspired and what keeps me feeling alive is being able to sit here and react to these fights, interview these fighters, do the fight companion like we did last night, just being able to watch these fights at the edge of our seats and feel alive. The Ben Askren fight versus Robbie Lawler. Don't tell me you're gonna sit there, watch that with a stone cold face and feel nothing. You're gonna feel alive, and that's what it's all about. And that's what drives me. I wake up feeling inspired every day, and to be sitting on my couch. I was gonna do the recap show, or I still probably am, but I think this is the recap show, right? To be sitting on my couch, and out of nowhere, a legendary fighter like Houston Alexander called me. To be grinding for 4 years and have somebody like James McSweeney from Ultimate Fighter Season 10 message me and go, you know, my wife brought up that I should start a podcast, and the first person who popped in my mind to do it with was you. It means so much. It means so much. I'll never forget when that light turned, and I shared it on one of the last podcasts. When I first started episode 1, you know, this all started as an idea, right? Everything starts as an idea, and you can take the step forward to start making that happen, right? I teamed up with this kid that was a diehard MMA fan for a very long time. And we sat down and recorded our show. I bought a new laptop, recorded our show. I had a room all set up. Not here, I was living somewhere else. And we got to like the second or third episode, and we're like, all right, let's go to Bellator. So we all got tickets to go to Bellator. It was me and my ex-girlfriend, Angie Jabs, that you guys might remember if you're a long-time listener here on Pure Evil MMA. So it was me, Angie Jabs, and my co-host at the time, his name was Mateo. And as a matter of fact, I talked to him yesterday for the first time in a long time. And I ran into him at Bellator with his little autograph notebook while I was doing actual interviews with the Bellator fighters. But the thing that changed my mind and really made me put my foot down and be like, no. I'm not falling on a safety net. I'm not going to be another person that is just doing this as a hobby. I'm not going to be another person that just has a dream but doesn't think or that believes it's too far out of reach. I'm not going to be that guy. We went to Bellator, and I'll never forget, he showed up with, 4 of his friends that were going to go with us. And me and Angie Jabs got there early to, kind of get a feel of things. We go there, we sit down in our seats, and they were high up, man. I mean, these were the shittiest seats that you could probably get. The cheapest seats that you can get. I was just happy to be there. And I remember sitting there and telling everyone, next time that Bellator comes to Mohegan Sun, I'm going to be front row, on press row, covering this for a website. I'll never forget. My co-host at the time and his friends looked at me and laughed. And that made me feel some type of way. Me and Angie Jabs went outside to smoke a cigarette in between fights, and I was pissed off. I was furious about that because my co-host, who, when you set something up with somebody, say for instance you're opening up a business and your business partner doesn't see your business blowing up, what's the point in being business with him, right? That was the moment where I was like, fuck this. Guess who was front row, on press row, working for a website, freelancing for a website, next time Bellator came to town? Your boy. And if we have any young listeners, I know we have a lot of young listeners, 15, 16 years old in high school right now. Believe in yourself, man. Be creative. Have fun. Be an artist. I'm so blessed to be where I am. And we're only 3 months into 2019. I feel like this is the year. I really feel like this is the year. And I want to thank all of the supporters out there for Pure Evil MMA. I want to thank all the fighters. I want to thank James McSweeney. I want to thank everybody. All the managers that work with me setting up interviews. It's unreal. It's really unreal. And you watch those movies and this is what goes on. This is what happens in the transition of normal life. The people that fall on safety nets, that give up on their dreams, and the people who actually stick it out and struggle for a little bit out in the cold, but they have faith and warmth in their belief that takes that cold away. And that's where I'm at right now. So I want to thank everybody. And just for Houston to call in like that randomly, it's not like we had anything set up. He did say yesterday he was going to call me. Well, I didn't think much of it. For him to call me, and it means so much. It means so much. So subscribe down below, guys. Subscribe on iTunes. We got the show up. I'm doing a show with James McSweeney from Season 10 of The Ultimate Fighter. First pick for Team Rashad. Second pick was Brandon Schaub. Both guys trained together. And another hit show there, man. I feel so blessed. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Subscribe down below. Follow us on YouTube, and you can find all these links at PureEvilMMA.com. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. Remember, shit, I got this shit tattooed on my fist. This ain't going nowhere, right? I guess I gotta stick this out. White knuckles till the end. Remember, without evil, there's no purity. Behave yourselves.